morning, everyone. We have a small group of people. I'm gonna normally to interact with you guys. I give you the option to use the chat. Well, you can still do this, but I will also allow you to talk. So you will be muted by default, but I will allow you to talk during this webinar. So if you have a question or whatsoever, feel free just to interrupt me. That's okay for me. We have a small group and I want to give as much value as possible. So then you can unmute yourself. You can ask a question or whatever you want. Please afterwards mute yourself again, because if everybody is unmuted, then we will be having a little bit of trouble with the sound. So good morning and welcome to this webinar. The webinar is live. Is everybody hearing me and seeing something like slides? Give me like a yes or no, or in the chat, like something that I know that I can hear you. There's a chat popping up. Yes, Natalie says from Matthijs. Yes, sound, video, presentation. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm gonna dive straight in and try to keep it between 45 minutes, so we can make it an hour if possible. But then I have another webinar, so gonna need to do this in at least 60 minutes. So, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 7 steps of highly effective B2B marketing and sales. And before I do this, maybe just let me introduce myself officially, so you know who you're listening to. So my name is Djoea. I'm one of the familiar faces of Make Marketing Magic. We are a B2B marketing company, and I live in Amsterdam. I work with, in the last years, I've worked with more than 1,000 different companies in different countries in Europe, helping them grow by implementing an effective B2B marketing strategy. And I will tell you a little bit about what we do and where we came from, so I can explain you better how these 7 steps work, because, well, we've created a method in the last years, and that we work with a lot of companies, and I will share them with you. They're quite easy steps, pretty straightforward, but really, really, really effective. And I will give you some insights from it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So what we do on a daily basis is we make growth accessible and affordable for every company, especially for SMB companies as well, because also larger companies, but there is a high demand of, well, communication, especially in these times. And for a lot of companies, it's hard to do this properly. Like it's either really complex or either really expensive, and we try to create something that all companies can, well, afford good marketing and just communicate and be on the radar of their target audience. And the question came a couple of years ago, because what we saw is that, and it's not only thing we saw, a lot of research has been done on this topic, that the gap between big companies and small companies, and, well, I know it's not that black and white, there is also something in the middle, but, well, let's just put it this way, like the corporate companies, they grow faster and faster rapidly, and the smaller companies don't grow as fast as the big companies do. That is not a problem per se. This is just difference. That's okay. But the funny thing is that there is a high demand of smaller specialized companies with unique stories, with service, with personal relationships with clients, that when you call someone, that you actually get someone on the phone instead of, well, I don't know, like a customer service agent or whatsoever. So there is a higher demand of smaller specialized companies, but the big ones, they are growing faster. So how is this possible, and what is happening? And a lot of companies like Accenture did some research on this, and what they found out is that the large companies, especially in the digital environment, they grow so fast because they invest in R&D. So they do really heavy R&D, research development, and they have better knowledge in terms of data, big data, artificial intelligence, so they know what they do based on facts and when to execute on it. And of course, they got more money and more people, so that's always easier to get things done, right? So they dominate the market. They keep like constantly communicating, and they're there. And for smaller companies, it's harder to compete at the same level. So there is a demand for smaller companies. It's just people don't find them because, well, the larger companies, they shout out larger, right, and harder. So that is a thing. But doing nothing is not an option. So you have to do something. So what to do? Because you have to invest and you have to do. But like R&D, big data, artificial intelligence, that's not something most companies have like at scale, right? So how to do this? And then like if you really want to do something, then you get in kind of catch 22 or a closed loop. Like, okay, so you want to invest in order to grow, but you have to grow first in order to invest, and that is a problem because now you get nowhere, right? So now we had a question like, okay, so what do you need to do to grow? And we believe that growth is about creating opportunities, and every company must have, well, the same opportunities to grow, because, well, if you have opportunities, then you can do something, right? So you have to create opportunities. So it's up to you what you do with those opportunities. That is the second part. But the first part is actually create opportunities. So we come up with the question, what if you have the same advantage as big companies, but without the most, the cost, the user investments, the millions euros or dollars or whatsoever. So how can we do this? And we came up with a proven method. We came up with a system, a method that we executing on now with more than 1,000 companies all over Europe. It's a method based on like proven data, executed by industry experts and backed with a powerful platform. So we designed a platform and data around it. And now what we do is we just put you on the radar and keep you on the radar of your target audience, and we measure what companies shows interest in your product, service, or whatsoever. So that is what we do on a daily basis. And I'm not telling you this because I want to pitch our service or whatsoever, but I want to explain you what we do, how we learned, and we did this for more than 1,000 companies. And if you do a lot of actions again and again and again, over and over, then you start to see patterns and you can learn from it. So that's where the proven method came from. And I want to show you what's under the hood when we pop up the hood and see what's under it. Because the proven method, it's based on steps that we did lots of times for lots of companies. And now, not only we, because it's not our 7 steps, I think that when you really zoom out, every B2B company has these 7 steps well, better or worse, I'm not sure, but everybody needs to do this. And under the hood, it shows like this. Okay, 7 steps. So you start with your business goals, then your target audience, your value proposition, channels, content, analyze, and sales. And I will go through these 7 steps during this webinar and explain you step by step what I mean by it, and well, how to use them. And maybe you recognize some stuff, of course. I think you and I are in a different type of business on the daily basis. You're more in the event business. Well, we also do events, but a way smaller, smaller events. But well, I think that the steps work for almost every company. B2C is a little different. Well, you got these 7 steps, but you got some nuances that are differently. So I'm going to try to explain you just from our world, from our perspective, and I hope you can, well, use it for your business and your purposes, right? So it all starts with the goals, right? And well, when we're talking about marketing, and I speak to a lot of marketing managers as well on a weekly basis, and they always ask me, like, hey, Djoea, can you please have a look at my marketing plan and give me some feedback on it? So please tell me what can I do, or what do we need to do in order to make it better? So, and then I ask him, yeah, of course I can do that, but please show me your sales plan or your business plan first before I give you feedback on your marketing plan. And then sometimes people look at me like they don't believe me, or they're like, what? My sales plan? No, no, no. I'm a marketing manager. I have a marketing plan. Yeah, but what is it based on? So marketing, right? It's not something that you do because you really want to do marketing, right? You want to sell something, or you want to build something, or whatever. So what are you aiming for? And this is one mistake, and it's I know it's an open door, but it's I see it almost on a daily basis that people start building plans without knowing what they really want to accomplish. And it's so important because only the difference between like having a goal based on new business, so for example just looking for new clients, or upsell, that is a huge difference in all the steps that go and all the actions you will be taking after setting your goal, right? Because, well, if you focus on new business, that's totally different than focusing on upsell or retention or churn or launching a new product or service in a new market. So that is different. So please know, what are you aiming for? And when you know, then you can start looking, okay, so what is my target audience? And what is the target audience that fits my business goals, right? So what type of company, where can I find them? And of course, who am I actually selling to? So who's the buyer persona? Like, who is the person that I'm actually selling for? So what is this for person? What kind of work do they do? How does their day look like? What challenges do they have? And of course, which problem can I solve for them? So when you're communicating online, having a buyer's profile, that a buyer's persona profile, sorry, that is so important, because if you're communicating online, then by default, you're communicating with the whole world, right? Because the whole world can basically see what you do or hear or read or whatsoever. And if you're not clear about who your message is for, then nobody will listen. That is the first thing. Then you will be like kind of a billboard side the freeway or something. Nobody will look to, right? So really make your you have to be really specific who you're targeting on. And the other thing is that so they have to recognize themselves in your message. That is the first thing. The second thing, if you want to target people, of course you want to know who they are. So goal setting, target audience, I think those two are leading in the whole game. And then you go to your value proposition. And I know that most businesses, they do this the other way around, right? They start with their proposition, then they go to the target audience, and then they go to the goals. Like when I don't know if one of you is maybe running his own business. If you went to the what's it called, the Chamber of Commerce, I think in English. In Dutch it's the Kamer van Koophandel. I'm not sure what the English word is. Then, well, you subscribe your company, and somebody asks you, oh, what kind of company? Well, I'm gonna start an event company. Okay, great, an event company. Who's your target audience? Well, I'm gonna, I don't know, whatever, like some industry or whatsoever. And then the goals, well, I hope to get some clients in the first year. Okay, great. So that is the most natural way to do it. But if you're gonna be strategic about this, and you're gonna be like really create a plan, I want to challenge you to turn it around. Start with your goal, because your goal tells you what your target audience must be. And when you have your target audience, then you can create your value proposition. And your value proposition, in my world, that is something different than a proposition. Like normally, typical company, if I ask them for a proposition, then they start telling me what they do, right? So we're an event company, we're an IT company, we are specialized in big data, we are whatever. Like that is the proposition most of times, right? But your value proposition is something else. Your value proposition is not about you or your service or your product or your company or whatsoever. No, your value proposition is about your customer. It is about the world of your customer. What problem do you solve, and what solution do you provide, right? That is what a value proposition is about. It is actually about the value you offer, not the service or the product. That are two totally different things. Of course, your product is needed in order to provide the value, but in the story you tell, it's differently. So What you need to do in order to create a good value proposition is just be clear about which problem do you solve. That is basically what it is. Because in a B2B environment, the only reason companies will buy from other companies is because someone can solve a problem. That is, well, I never found another reason in my world. So um, you have to be clear about the problem you're solving, and there are a million different type of problems that you can solve. But in B2B, if you really zoom out and if you really look to what type of problems can you solve, or what type of needs are there, then there are actually only three. There are only three different type of values. And I will go through them with you. So in B2B, the first one is more income. So more income, more clients, more turnover, more money, more whatever. Like that is something that you can help people with, right? So companies will invest in a value proposition that helps them grow, right? That is the first one. The second one is less spending. So, well, if you can help companies, well, spend less than they used to, well, that's great. So that is something to invest in as well. And the third one is more comfort and security. People want they don't want a headache. They don't want lots of hard work. If you can make it easier for them, comfort them, or just more secure, then that is something they will invest in as well. And now I want to ask you to look at your own value proposition and try to find out what need do you really fulfill. And maybe you will fulfill more than one. That is also possible. In our case, we fulfill all three, right? So people like more income because we help people grow, right? Or we help companies grow. We do this in a way that they spend way less than they do normally when they do it themselves, or when they like hire all different type of agencies or whatsoever. And because it's a proven method and it's all figured out already, it's more comfort, it's more secure. So we check all boxes, but it's not all the three boxes, or all three boxes is not the reason companies call us. That is not the case. Like in 80%, 90% of the time, people call us because they want to grow. So more income, that is the box, the main focus, right? In the other 10 to 20%, it's comfort and security. They're like, okay, so we know what to do. We have some people, but it's just hard work, and we want to try to make it a little bit easier, or we need some help. So that is the second one. But no one, actually zero donut, no one is calling us because, well, they have great marketing and it's all also easy, but we want to spend less on it. That is not the call we get. So yeah, we check all three boxes, but there is not the reason that people are buying with us. So I want to ask you again, like, look at your own value proposition and just try to find out which need do you really fill. Because if you tell your story, if you create your value proposition based on one of these three needs, and try to figure out why clients hire you, then chances they will invest in your value proposition are way higher if you make this one clear for yourself and for them. So I hope this is clear for you. I don't hear any questions, so that must be like I'm either way I'm really clear, or I'm really boring and everybody's checked out already and doing something else, reading their email and then working on the side and playing with the kids, because we're all working from home most days. So but if everything is okay, then I go through, because the reason I stop for a moment is step 1, 2, and 3. So goal setting, target audience, and value proposition. They form like the basic of your marketing plan, right? The problem with that is that companies focus too much on these 3 steps in terms of time. And that is not per se a problem, because sometimes you really have to. And but what we see again and again and again, and I had a call this morning with a company who did the same. they've been working on, yeah, we have to be strategic, so we have to create a plan. So the goals, they do a workshop or brainstorm with their goals, then the target audience, they're all working out buyer personas and etc., etc. And then they go to the value proposition, and maybe they create a new website and a branding and a landing page and whatsoever. So great story, everybody happy, high-fiving, great. It took months to do this. That is not a problem per se, but during those months and during the time that they're working really hard on it, and they're creating like the new value proposition and website, etc., actually nothing is happening. There's not one client or one potential client that hears from you or sees something from you, or you're not on their radar, you're not communicating. It's all internal, well, work, right? And sometimes it's really needed. But what I try to get people to understand is that communicating with people is the most important thing, especially in marketing and sales, right? You have to be communicating in it. So if you really need to be to create a new strategy on goal setting, target audience, value proposition, yes, please do that. But don't stop communicating with your target audience. Well, you can upgrade, you can, how to say, like, we build the bridge while we cross it, right? So you can start communicating and still figuring out like how to adapt and how to upgrade some stuff. If that is possible, please do that, because otherwise you will be working on this maybe, I see it sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6, even 7 months working on the first 3 steps. And during that time, all your competition is communicating with your clients and with your potential clients. And 7 months later, you got a great strategic plan, and the whole market changed because you was just not there. So that is something to keep in mind. Okay, so then we go to step 4, channels. Okay, choose your channels to communicate with your target audience, and this is quite an easy step. This is not so complicated. Channels, everything is a channel, right? Your website is a channel, your blog is a channel, webinars like this is a channel, email marketing is a channel, social media is a channel, events obviously is a channel, TV, radio, classic media. All that is all those things are channels. So like, create a list of channels that you will use in order to communicate with your target audience. Of course, you need to see if your target audience is actually on this channel, on these channels, right? Because otherwise you will not reach them. And another thing is that please keep in mind that every channel you choose, you have to like communicate on that channel rapidly. Like you have to do it again and again and again, over and over. And this is something that a lot of companies forget. So they become really creative and really enthusiastic, right? Like picking all channels, like they're gonna start a YouTube channel and a blog, and they're gonna do events and webinars and a white paper, and they're gonna upgrade the website, and they got like I don't know, 10, 12, 20, 30 channels. And then they forget that step 5 is coming, content. That you have to create content in order to communicate over these channels, right? So, and if you don't have time for that, or you don't have like the power or the knowledge or the experience or whatsoever, it's better to have a shorter list of channels, but do it really, really great, than have a long list and actually nothing is really happening. Okay, so that is something to keep in mind. And then content. Create valuable content. This is the hard part for most companies, because, well, what to write about, what to share, what to do, like this is hard for 2 reasons, maybe more, but like 2 main reasons. One, most companies don't know what to communicate about, so they communicate about themselves. But, well, newsflash, nobody's interested in that most of times, right? So and the other one is they just don't have time. It is the other thing, like it is just hard work, right? So that, again, it's better to do a little bit less but really great than a lot but actually nothing, right? So just to help you with it, if you start creating content, write about, or communicate about challenges of your target audience. That is the first thing you should be focusing on if you don't know what to do. If you didn't build brand yet, if you didn't, if you're really starting, just communicate about challenges of your target audience. Why? Because this is something they recognize. If you don't talk about your own world, right? You can do it a little bit, that's okay, but not too much, because you really want to help them out, and you want to stand out of the crowd. So how to do this? Communicate about things they are interested in. So find out what their interest is and start communicate about that. And if you're in B2B, that is most of the times challenges they're facing. And if you can help them a little bit by sharing knowledge or experience or whatsoever, they will start recognizing you as an expert in your industry or whatsoever. So that is something right in terms of problem solution, not problem product. So you have a problem, we have a product or a service. No, because that is selling and that is not sharing knowledge. So please communicate in solution and problems. Of course, you can tell them what you do. That is no problem. But it's not like that your product or service is the only solution. That's just not true. So don't pitch it like that. Try to be on their side and like, hey, this is something you can do. This is something you can do. And yeah, if you need help with that, of course, we can help you. So, and of course, share your knowledge, share your insights, and tell stories. Please tell stories. And stories are always about people. They have a beginning, a middle, and the end. And try to create something like just share a story about what happened last day or last week, or give it an example, and people love stories. It's just the way our brain works. So we are just walking story machines, and this is what we do. We want to listen to stories, we want to tell stories. Well, use that in your communication. So then we go to step 6, because step 6 is going to tell us whether we did the first 4 and 5 good or not, right? So analyze your channels, analyze your content. So some things to analyze is, okay, so what worked and what didn't. So what topics did really work for me, and what topics didn't. So I'm gonna have to write or communicate more about, well, topic A, less on topic B. Hey, how is conversion working on my website? Hey, people come to my website, great. Hey, they click on my product and service or my about us or whatsoever, great. But then they leave after 2 seconds. Oh, not so great. So they were looking for something, but they didn't find it there. So I have to like upgrade that page or whatsoever. That is something you can do. Another thing to analyze is like, okay, so how many followers, for example, on your social media are like every week are you gaining, and is your growth growing? So are you growing faster, right? That is something to keep in mind. That is not an end goal to get followers or likes or engagement, because, well, let's be honest, that's not business. But unless you're an influencer or something, that is something different. But it helps you to get business. So that is like something like a pillar in on the way to your goal. But another thing is, and that is what we do for our clients, but you can do it yourself. There is software available. We measure, I blanked out the names in the screenshot, but we measure also what companies are visiting your website. So if you're like gaining traffic because you're communicating with your target audience and they go to your website and you see that a specific company within your target audience is visiting your website like 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 times in last week or a couple of weeks, well, that is not an accident, right? That there is a reason for that. We don't know the reason, but there is a reason for that. And then you see that they're like 5 times they visit your product page or your service page. Okay, there is a reason. And especially in B2B, we always try to convert leads, right? So they go to the website and then we try to get them to click on a call to action or subscribe to something or whatsoever. And well, people do that, but more people just don't do that, because they're not ready for it or they just don't want to or whatsoever, but they are really looking for something. So in B2B, you see this a lot, because people are looking for solutions, but because they have lack of experience themselves, that's why they need another company. They're looking at your website, but they're not sure, like, did I find it yet or not? Well, let me check out another website, because it's really hard to compare, right? Because if I'm shopping for, let's say, hats, yeah, if I'm Googling or whatsoever for a black hat, and I found one, then I can really easy compare them on a different site, and I can check out the price, and then I and terms and conditions, and then I can make a choice. But in B2B, everybody's telling a different story. Everybody's is positioning themselves differently. So it's really hard to compare, and it's really hard to know what to choose if you don't know how your solution should be like. So that is hard, and that's the reason they're not converting most of times. So check out who is visiting your page. If they're really in your target audience and they're coming back in the back and they're looking at your products and services, there is a reason for that. Just reach out to them on LinkedIn or call them or whatsoever, and don't use the pitch, hey, I saw you on my website. Well, that is, if you don't know them, that's, I don't think that's the best pitch, but you can try to figure out well, how to get in contact with them and start the conversation. We do other webinars for that. So if you want to learn more about that, we have other webinars. But this is something, well, just check it out. It gives you more opportunities and more chances. And then, well, we automatically step to step 7, that is sales. And sales in B2B, it used to be step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I think, because, well, a couple of years ago, B2B marketing was not that great. It was more like, it was sales first and networking and those type of things. And the rest was more like communication and PR, right? But now, really, really marketing, that is for most B2B companies still new, and for other companies, luckily now a little bit more familiar. But your most valuable asset is your sales time. That is the time that you, as a person or a sales professional whatsoever, or an entrepreneur, actually spends with your customer, right? That is your most valuable asset. And please use that time with people that actually want to speak to you. I have a question coming in. I have interest in step 6. What to say if you call the client after a website visit? Yeah. So I'm gonna get back on that in a minute. Yeah. Or no, I can do it right now. Why? Well, why not? So I'm not sure in what type of business you are in detail, but like, from a bigger perspective, what I do, I have, for me personal, I do 2 things. Sometimes I call, sometimes I send a LinkedIn invite. So it depends on who I try to reach, right? So maybe I call them. And first of all, if a company visits my website, I see the name of the company, not the name of the person. So I have to figure out who is the decision maker within that company. I use LinkedIn for that. I just go to LinkedIn, I find the decision maker, and I target this person. To be honest, I'm not sure whether this person did visit my website or not, because it could be a colleague, right? So I'm not sure. But well, there is like a lot of attention going on our website, so there is something happening. That is my assumption until then, right? So what I do, I focus on the decision maker, because I don't care if he or she did or did not visit my website. They know if they have a problem, right? Because if there's someone in the company who knows that there is a need or a problem whatsoever, it should be them. So I just focus on decision maker, calling them, hey, saw your company online. We work with companies like you. And so we fixed this problem, and just wanted to find out whether this could be interesting for you or not. Like a really straightforward. And hey, if it's for any relevance, great. Then we talk to each other, and if not, also great. Then I wish you a good day. So that is one move to make. And then maybe if you have like a little conversation going on there, then I say, yeah, I noticed on our website that you recently visit our product page or whatsoever. Just so I wanted to check in. But that is like, you can mention that, of course, because it's not a secret, but just don't start with it, because, well, then they say, oh, it wasn't me, and then the whole conversation goes flat, and then it died. So that is one thing. The other way around is like, I send them a LinkedIn invite. Hey, find you on LinkedIn, find you online. I just wanted to connect with you because we work with a lot of companies like yours. Let's link. And well, 60-70% of them they accept, and then I'll send them like a message. So sometimes I use my smartphone, because in the smartphone I can send a video on LinkedIn chat, and then I'll speak to them in the video like, hey, found you on LinkedIn, thank you for connecting with me, and I just want to find out if you're open to have a conversation, 15 minutes on the phone about this topic. I noticed that, well, your company visited our website recently a lot, and then I make it really specific. So I saw on your website that you're doing this and this and this, and we're working with a lot of companies that do, well, similar stuff. So maybe we can do something for each other, maybe not. So let's find out. That is something that I personally do, and it works really well. Let me see. Irina has asked me, I would like to recommend this webinar to my colleague. Will you be available on demand? I'm not sure. They asked me to present. If not, then send me an email afterwards. I'll give you my email address, and because I do this webinar, I think next week on another platform, and there we will be recording it for sure. So I can send you that link, and it will be almost the same. It's not so different. So that is another thing. Sorry for the interruption, but I get some chats that I want to answer. So sales, back to sales. Yeah, so you get contact with them, you call them, you mail them, you link them, whatever you want to do, but you want to spend time with people that actually want to spend time with you, right? Because you don't want to like be the pushy salesperson, right? Nobody wants to be that. And more importantly, nobody wants to talk to them. So that is something you need to, keep in mind. So then that was actually the 7 steps. I'm going to be, I'm way faster than I thought I would be. So, you got more time today. So I'm not sure if this is something for you, but if you want, I have a special, well, not an offer for you, but something that maybe helps you out. Because if you have questions about these 7 steps or about your own marketing sales strategy, I want to offer you a free growth consult. And maybe this is something for you if you want to do this or not. But what we basically do, and this is what we do now, because we see a lot of businesses finding it hard to gain business in the whole Corona crisis, etc. So what we offer is free consults for now during these periods of times. And what we basically do is we have a one-on-one conversation about your business goal, your target audience. So this is the main focus. Then we look at your company like, okay, what do you do on marketing? What do you do on sales? And how is your market? What does it look like? Like, how many customers do you have prospect? What is the white space there? And what can you do differently or better in order to get your goals and reach your target audience and reach your business goals? If you want to, this is like an online meeting, 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure. If you want that, we can help you with that. That's not a problem. You can scan the QR code, or you can send me an email later, and then we can schedule something. If you scan the QR code, you get like a direct connection with my calendar, and then you can schedule it yourself. If you want to send me an email later, no problem. If you don't want to do this, please don't. It's just like, if you really need a little bit of help or some new insights, we're happy to help you. It's free, no strings attached. And yes, it is a part of our own marketing as well, because we know that a certain percentage of people who do a free consult, they come back to us later, like weeks or months later, with another question, and then we can help them out. So that's the in Dutch we say addertje. This is just what it is. So if you want to do this, scan the QR code or send me an email, and then I can help you out. And if not, then also great, of course. I am at the end of the webinar right now, and I see some Q&A chats, but I cannot click on it. So I'm gonna try to. Oh yeah, there it is. Sorry, I had to switch screens. Irina says people are now very sensitive to sales. It's more of a time of giving away free stuff. When and how can we start to charging? In case if companies who provide free content now. Okay, so your question, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, is that you're right now you're stating that people don't want to buy, or they don't want to talk to salespeople, they want stuff for free. I 100% disagree. 100%. And of course, I'm maybe in a totally different type of business or world than you are. So this is not like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just like, hey, the world needs to keep on turning. That is really, really, really important, because if we don't, then we have a really, really problem, right? So, and like these times, they're not so different on this particular part, not so different than normally. People are always frustrated about being sold, but they want to buy. That is the thing. So they just don't want to be sold. So help them buy, really help them. And you can help them by providing, and it's always about giving. I think that is the best, one of the best strategies. Give them knowledge, help them solving problems. But if it comes to your service, your products, you should not be giving them away for free, unless you have like a freemium product or something else that is like meant for that. That is something else. But just why should you? It's like I'm not going to the grocery store and say, hey, we got a crisis now going on, just give me the bread for free, right? It's not going to happen. It's just like you have to pay for certain stuff. And yes, of course, you can do more stuff for people in order to help them. So you create like a relationship and you create trust and all these things. And sometimes just people cannot buy now but can buy later, and then it's an investment, right, to help them right now. Like the growth consult, we're doing this now to help people to really like if you're stuck, okay, for me it's only 30, maybe one time 60 minutes. Well, okay, if I can really make you happy with that, that's great, right? So that is something you can do. But I still think that I don't know what you're selling. And yes, it's harder right now. That is also true. But well, yeah, well, if they want your product or your service, well, just charge them, and that's okay. That's fair. Because it doesn't make your product or service less valuable because we have a crisis going on. Unless you're not solving a problem. That is something else. If you're not solving a problem, then of course it's less valuable because, well, yeah, that's what it is. So I hope that I answered your question, Irina. If there are other people having questions, please let me know. And otherwise, I hope I gave you some value. I went a little bit faster than I thought, but that's great because now we all get a little bit time left over. If you have some questions, please ask them. You can unmute yourself. You can type them in, whatever you want. And if not, then I wish you a great day because, well, then obviously you have to do other stuff today. So I wish you all the best. Irina said it was great. Thank you. Okay, great, Irina. I'm happy that I answered your question. So if you want the slides of the webinar, please send me an email. You get my contacts. If you want to schedule a consult, you also can send me an email. If you just want to connect on LinkedIn, just type in my name, Djoea. I'm the only one in the world, so that's easy to find me. Type in my name, connect, and then we can have a chat later on if you want to. And I wish you all the best. I wish you a great, great day. Matthijs says thank you. Rika says thank you for this clear presentation. Well, I'm happy that it's clear for you. So I hope it was valuable for you. I hope you got some insight from it. And I hope, and this is the most important part of the whole message, it's just not knowledge. Start acting on it. So start doing something with this, and I hope you get great results with it. If you're like, for example, later on, you're working with this, and you're like, oh shit, what was it again? Send me a question, a message, whatsoever. I always answer. Sometimes it's busy, so it takes a couple of days, but you always get an answer on your question. So please feel free to ask. Thank you very much. That's Natalie. A lot of content, and I can identify my strategies with very helpful. Great. I'm really happy to hear that, Natalia. Great, great. So, without further ado, I think we finished. I think there are no questions anymore. And just let me check the Q&A for, yeah, that's all done. So I wish you all the best. Have a great day. Have a great life. Maybe we speak to each other again. See you. Bye bye.